Hey guys, we're back. We're a week and a half out from Paddlepalooza, our biggest and best tournament of the year, and the excitement's growing. Welcome back to Off the Water. I am your host, Darth Yacker, and with me tonight, as always, is my co-host, Tyler Caldwell. We have two guests joining us tonight. Bayou Coast sponsor coordinator Aaron LaRose is back. Also, we have Danica Bailey-Williams with Wista Fish on tonight. She's coming to you live from Rotolo's in what city? Slidell, Louisiana. Danica, thanks for coming on tonight.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, she had some other arrangements tonight, some other plans, but she was so gracious to join us on tonight. So we're going to get to her in just a minute. If you hear a little music in the background, Danica's having a good time over there at Rotolo's. So, guys, we got a great show tonight. We're going to look at some more of the great prizes being raffled off at the tournament. We're also going to be talking about fishing in Grand Isle and Leeville and scouting for Paddlepalooza. I've got some updated fishing reports for you if you're looking to do some scouting before the tournament. It was a great weekend this past weekend. I know I got to do a little fishing, and the weather was beautiful. We had a little wind on Saturday. Easter Sunday, I think, was just gorgeous. Of course, everybody was probably spending Easter with their family, not fishing. Tyler, you did you do any fishing on Sunday? Did you stay home for Easter? What'd you do?
No, I stayed home with the really, we unfortunately we had a death in the family right before Easter, so our Easter plans kind of got thrown through a loop there last minute. So I really spent Easter Sunday with just me and my wife, and we put some ribs on the smoker and hung out around the house.
I know you showed me a picture of those. I think we were texting on Easter Day. Those were some good-looking ribs. I think I volunteered you for the championship to cook ribs over there. Same thing. I got to spend Easter with my family, my wife and daughter, and my in-laws and some other relatives. And this was the first year I got to cook for Easter. We usually go down to Pierreport, where her grandparents live, and they're in their 80s, but boy, they still get around. And usually they get these beautiful crawfish out there. Her grandfather is a crawfisherman. What he did growing up, he'd have these huge crawfish, but he actually had a little accident. And he's doing much better now. So I got to actually cook this year for Easter. My first time I got to cook for Easter. So we were going to do some crawfish, but I want to kind of, set a little example out there how I do Easter. So we did a sack of crawfish. We did about 5 pounds of shrimp. And then I did another 7-8 pounds of those king crab legs, those big ones,
Yeah, that sounds like LA good.
We did. I had a little melted butter with the garlic for those crab legs. Those crab legs are so big. You crack them open and you get a piece of meat out of them. I know it's like that big, a good inch in diameter. They were fantastic. We had a lot of food left over. And I think we finished off our leftovers last night. My daughter, she really goes to town. She doesn't eat the crawfish tails. All she eats are the claws. So when you go through the crawfish, all you'll get is the head and the tail, and none of the crawfish have the claws. So, it's like I know if I pick up a crawfish with no claws, my daughter got to it first. But that's all right. We don't really do a whole lot with the claws other than her. Tyler, we got an update on Paddlepalooza. We're a week and a half away. How many people we've got signed up at last count?
I haven't checked today, but I think we're up to around 180. So we're doing pretty good. It's still, a couple weeks away. So I'm sure we'll easily exceed 200 and maybe even be a record year. We'll see.
Absolutely. Well, look, let's get over to Danica. I don't want to keep you too much, but Wista Fish, I want to talk a little bit about that, but I've heard your name throughout the years. This is the first time I think I've actually got to talk to you in person. I remember you coming to one of our tournaments a few years ago to accept a check. I think it was at the last time we had it at Topwater Marina, maybe. I think you were there.
In Leesville.
In Leeville, a couple years back, you were there. But tell us a little bit about yourself. I know we talked before. You're from Metairie, right?
I am. Yeah. I grew up in Metairie, right across from the Galleria. Lived there until I got married and moved away. Kind of bounced around a little bit in Metairie. Now I live in Lacombe. We lived in Kenner for a little while, CT and I. Now we have a little one. I have a stepdaughter that's 25 and a little one that's 9.
9 years old?
Yes.
Girl or a boy?
A girl.
I've got my daughter's 9 years old as well.
Does she like to fish?
She does. She likes to snack. As soon as we get on the water, the first thing she wants to do is eat. And I said,
well, that's good.
I said, baby girl, we don't eat when we're on the kayak. We eat before, we eat after. But we don't. we don't eat when we're on, you know.
Well,
Certainly, we're not bringing any.
We were actually at one of our banquets for Wish to Fish, and my daughter came up to the podium with me and said, "Hi, I'm Peyton, and I don't like to fish." So she likes it when there's other little kids around, but she likes being out on the water. But fishing's not her go-to. Not yet.
Yeah, so I know you're obviously affiliated with Wish to Fish. Do you do anything else aside from that, or is that just your main focus?
No, I actually work for Wildlife and Fisheries. That's my career. I've been there for 18 years. And Wish to Fish is something that we started doing in 2006 with just some family and friends. And it's grown since then, but it's all volunteers. Like everybody does this on the side and nobody gets paid a penny.
What do you do for the Wildlife and Fisheries?
I am a biologist program manager for the Fisheries Extension. I work on the recreational side and commercial side for outreach and education.
Oh, that's fantastic. And you were married to C.T. Williams.
Yes, I am.
And as I understand it, he's the host of the Big Fish Report, right? On WGNO?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, have you talked to him
Fox
maybe
8,
about?
No, sorry, he's on Raycom, Fox 8.
Oh, on Fox 8. Okay, Aaron LaRose. Yeah.
Oh,
all right.
Aaron, bad. Shame.
Aaron texted me wrong. I had bad information. This wasn't my fault. Aaron should know better. So have you talked to him about coming out and doing maybe a little spotlight on the club and maybe show up at Paddlepalooza one time and putting us on the news?
You know what? We need to do that. I
Y'all
definitely
need
like
to do that.
I'd like to fish it, and maybe you could put you guys on the news. I think that's a fantastic idea.
And if he would like to come out, I don't know if has he ever been kayak fishing?
CT? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. If you want someone to show him around, tell him to give us a call. We'll take him out. And we'll treat him right. We'll show him some good spots.
Okay. We definitely might need some pointers.
Absolutely. I know just the guy. It's not me, but I know just the guy. Wish to Fish. How long ago did it get started?
We started in 2006.
So 13 years ago.
Yeah. So we've been doing it for a little while. The first one was kind of off the cuff. It started. I used to talk about it all of the time with one of the charter boat captains down in Uris, Louisiana, Captain John Taylor. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. But he heard me talking about it all of the time. And he finally said, Danica, you just need to stop talking about it and do it. Just do something about it. And he actually called the New Orleans Cops for Kids. So that was the very first one. It wasn't Wish to Fish yet. We weren't even organized. So he got the group down there. There was about 15, 16 children from this organization from New Orleans and their chaperones. And we had about 5 or 6 boats, and we just piled them on the boats and we went fishing, and we had a great time. When we returned to the dock, a lady, one of the chaperones, came up and she gave John and I a big bear hug, and she just kind of pointed at all the kids around and told us their history. And it was just unbelievable. I mean, you kind of know beforehand, but then when you just really sit down and talk to them and you hear the history of their lives and where they've come from, and have never been on the water before, never, they live so close to Lake Pontchartrain, probably haven't even seen Lake Pontchartrain before, but just a lot of really sad stories. And she said, you have no idea what you have done today. And again, she gave me a big bear hug, and John looked at me and he said, I think you found your calling. And so we've been doing it ever since. And when we first started, it was, we kind of offered it to just at-risk youth, but I'll tell you, we've opened it up to pretty much anybody and everybody. The basic concept is getting youth outside and on boats that would not normally have the opportunity. So, I thought about it, and there's tons of parents out there that may have the means to do it, may have the funds to do it, but they don't know how, or they don't know where to go. So if they call, you can call now, and you can nominate a family to go fishing, whether it's at-risk youth or kids with disabilities. You can nominate a family, and we will probably put them on the water. It's hard for me to say no to anybody. There is a process and an application that you have to go through, but we've been doing it for so long. We do the big groups. We do 3 to 4 big events, one out of Venice, one out of Island Marina, and some others that we just bounce around to different marinas around the coast. And we take 20 to 25 participants from different organizations. One being the Miracle League Network of Greater New Orleans, others being the Son of a Saint organization out of New Orleans. And again, it could be any group, but we offer it, at those 3 locations, and we try to do 20 to 25 participants, and we put 2 kids on a boat with a captain and a chaperone, and that way we're trying to give each kid individual attention. And we tell them when you get out there, there's no stupid questions. You get the guides that we recruit have been on the water for 20 plus years, and you know, while I'm talking about the guides, obviously I wouldn't be doing this right now if it wasn't for them. So
tell us which guides you use.
We down in Venice, we have Captain Bulow, we have Chris Wilson. There's some of the guys that have been helping us, Lloyd Landry, for years from the get-go. You know how to slide Elliott, Bubby Lamy, Mike Gallo, Matt McCabe. I'm going, and I'm sorry if I'm forgetting people, but it's a long list. And I will tell you this too, that when we do a trip, obviously we like to, you know, we put the drinks on the boat, we put the snacks, can you hear that? I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Ruby.
Tyler, we need that music to the background, and it kind of gives us a little rhythm when we're going.
See what I'm bringing to the show?
You're bringing a lot to the table tonight.
So, you know, we try to, you know, we get sponsors and we offer fuel. We try to cover their costs. Well, I will say that 90% of them, almost all of them, say, Danica, that is not why we're doing this. You take the money back, give it to the kids, give it to the groups, put it back in the pot, and give more kids the opportunity to go fishing with somebody. But that's not why we're doing this. We're doing this because we love it. And I've been told by captains that it's some of their favorite trips of the year. They love being out there and offering this opportunity to kids that probably would never get it if they didn't.
Is there an age limit for the kids?
It ranges from 8 to 16, but again, if it's up to the family members. If you feel like your 6-year-old can handle being on a boat and you want to offer them a trip, we'll definitely listen. And you know, again, it's hard for me to say no, but it's that age range from 7 to 8 to 16, 17.
We had a question come in. I see from some people watching, but one question was, what about autistic kids? Can you?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Most of the kids that we take out of Venice from the Miracle League, most of those young children have autism.
That's great.
Okay. What about I'm just curious, kids with disabilities that may be in wheelchairs or just something like that? I don't know. Do y'all handle anything like that? I know that's going to be a little special trip.
It is, and we only have 1 or 2 boats that are available that we that are capable of putting a wheelchair. We have had kids that are confined to a wheelchair that the parents go with them, and again, it's up to the parents. And if we can put them in a seatbelt, and offer them a trip, we've done a couple of those.
Okay. And are you guys limited to just certain geographical region, or where do most of your kids come from?
Where the kids come from, anywhere in Louisiana. We haven't ventured outside of Louisiana. You know, we haven't saturated the youth in Louisiana and getting them out there. So we want to try to work with the youth in Louisiana, but we would definitely work outside. Wish to Fish Louisiana. If you want to come from Mississippi and see how the great resources that we have here in Louisiana, we're definitely willing to offer that as well. So
as I understand it, there's no income cutoff. Like if the parents make too much money, you're going to refuse the kid. It's basically, you've got parents, they don't know what to do. Certainly I would think if the parents had enough money, they'd just go hire a charter captain. But in some situations, you've got a kid maybe that wants to fish, or the family knows. It could be a single mom, something like that. And they want to take have their kid experience the outdoors. This is somebody that would just contact you guys and submit an application for that?
Yes. Yeah. So you can go to our website, wishtoffish.org, and we have a little application process, and you just go on, and there's a volunteer page, there's a sponsor page, there's a sign-up page, all of that there. Or you can just send me an email at wishtofishla@yahoo.com. Just send us an email and tell us why, to nominate a family or a child. Just tell us why you think they deserve a day on the water, and we'll contact you back and ask you more questions. Okay, and then y'all have a Facebook page as well? Yes, Wish to Fish LA. Wish to Fish LA. Okay, great. Now we talked a little bit about the charter captains. A lot of them, you try to reimburse them the fuel and things like that. And a lot of the guys are just, they're really good guys out there. They don't want to accept it, but what type of things do y'all need as far as equipment? Do y'all need money, or what type of things can the organization take on that would help spread it out a little bit more? Obviously, monetary donations are very helpful, but we also take food, drinks, Rotolos is one of our sponsors, and they donate food to most events. We drinks, rod and reels, life jackets, sunscreen, hats, that type of stuff. Anything that you can think of, especially the safety stuff, like the hats and the sunscreen. Anything like a bug spray that you think if you wanted to donate product, that we would take any of that. We also do a fundraiser every year at the Big Bash Rodeo in City Park, and we collect donations, whether it be used or new. And we have a big fishing flea market or outdoor flea market. So we go out there and we accept donations for new and used fishing equipment.
Okay.
And all the proceeds go to Wish to Fish.
When's the date of that? Do you know?
It just passed. It's always the last weekend in March, but we collect stuff throughout the entire year. And Captain CT wants to shoot me because of our shed and everything. So
that's good to know, because I actually I'm starting to acquire a pile of things that I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to take the time to try to sell each one of these, but I hate to throw them away,
I was thinking the same thing. I've got 15 rods and reels in my shed, and I don't know what to do with them. I don't want to throw them away because they're fine. And I'm like thinking, I was hoping to be able to ask that question tonight and see, can I just give it to you?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So we usually say when in doubt, put it in the pile. We would hope that if we can clean it up and it's usable, that's preferred. But we actually get some stuff that we call vintage, and we can put that kind of stuff on eBay, or people call us sometimes and say, do you have anything for my man cave, that I can decorate my man cave? So we pretty much take anything at the fishing flea market. People come, we did it this year, and we had people dropping in from Baton Rouge just for the flea market. So it's getting bigger and bigger, and it's really awesome because we do raise a lot of money. And you wouldn't think that just a small little flea market, but we raise a lot of money so we can, are able to offer more kids fishing trips.
And now all y'all do are fishing trips, correct? And those are on boats.
Yes, we do fishing trips. We do offer some bank fishing. We offer every once in a while we'll come out and teach kids how to cast at different events. But for the most part, it's basically putting kids on the boats. We, like I was talking about the big groups, but last year we actually started taking individual families. It was kind of like a pilot study with the Tito's American Redfish Cup series. So during that tournament, we would ask captains to take a family and put them out on the water and fish during the tournament. And then when the kids would come in, we'd give them a big trophy. We'd treat them just like the anglers in the tournament. It really went off well. I mean, it was amazing. The kids had so much fun. The families were just so appreciative. The kids felt like they were one of the anglers fishing the tournament. We put them on a big podium, gave them a nice 3-foot trophy, Wish to Fish Angler of the Year. And so I think it worked well. I think we're definitely going to try it again this year with the Redfish Cup out of Hopedale. That'll be the first one on June 8th. It is Christian Orfanello with Cito is going to be having a live redfish tournament out of Hopedale Marina. And so that'll be the first one that we do this year. And we'll offer a few families to go fishing during that tournament. And that'll be Wish to Fish trips.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. And when is that again?
That is going to be June 8th.
June 8th. Okay. And that's out of Hopedale?
Yes.
Okay. I was just going to run through my head as far as tournaments coming up. I know we start getting into the summertime. We start getting a lot of tournaments out there. So again, monetary donations or, donations as far as rods and reels, tackle, stuff like that for your what do you say? It was a flea market?
Yes.
Little flea market?
Fishing flea market.
Jason Bain made a comment. If y'all know Jason Bain's our treasurer, he made a comment in the Facebook chat. Maybe we could try to organize a donation bin at Paddlepalooza. So I'm going to go ahead and put that out there. I'm sure between all the volunteers, we can somehow organize that between now and then.
Well, and I'll tell you what, that'll be I wish we'd have thought about that beforehand. But even if we can't do it for Paddlepalooza, or we do those 2 big tournaments a year between Paddlepalooza and Fall and Tide. I know a lot of guys are just looking to get rid of some of their old stuff. It's just the stuff you don't want to throw away because it's still good. But as fishermen, we just buy new crap, all the time, and we just accumulate things. And I'm sure all of us have trays and trays of tackle and rods and reels that we don't use anymore. We don't want to throw away. So that's a really good idea, Jason. Certainly we can talk to Danica about that. I know Aaron or me or Todd can reach out to her and see what we can do about getting that stuff together and getting it over to you. Or Maybe we can put it at Aaron's house for a while with the other stuff we have. I'm sure his wife won't mind storing it over there.
Well, thank y'all very much. Yes, it's definitely a good opportunity for you guys to make room for new stuff, and then you can offer it and give it to kids that don't have anything, or we can raise more money to get more kids on the water.
Absolutely. Danica, one more time, tell us where people can go to find out about Wish to Fish.
Wishtofish.org is our website.
Okay, great. And they're also available on Facebook. So if you have any questions, you can certainly visit those websites. You can reach out to one of the officers in Bayou Coast, and we can certainly put you in touch with Danica. If you want to make a donation, either money or via tackle or something like that. Danica, I know you got a lot going on tonight. Thank you so very much for coming on tonight. We hope to see you and hopefully your husband out at one of our big tournaments soon. And, and hopefully Wish to Fish will win the charity nomination this year and get another check and do something really good with it. I know what you guys are doing is incredible. I can only imagine what the kids, how they feel after going home and catching that first fish on a rod and reel and bringing it in. I'm sure it's a very special experience for them. So thank you again for coming on tonight.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for the support and the nomination again this year. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Danica. All right, guys, we're going to go to a quick word from our sponsor, and we'll be back in just a few seconds.
What's up, guys? It's Brock from the Backpacker again. Another cool product I wanted to highlight was from Free Fly Apparel. We got some of the Breeze shorts right here. Really great, quick drying and lightweight shorts. So really good for the kayaks when we're getting wet all the time. Also these hoodies. Hoodies and sun shirts are something that we really need to kind of block out the sun. It's real lightweight, so you can wear them when they're hot, but they're also quick dry. And then we've got the utility shorts. They look a little, but that you can also wear them for a day on the water.
And don't forget, be sure to visit us online at www.backpackeroutdoors.com or in one of our stores in Baton Rouge and Lafayette.
Hey guys, we're back. Last week we talked about one of my favorite parts of Paddlepalooza, which is the raffle. Good chance if you buy enough tickets, you're going to be a winner. Aaron LaRose is back with us again tonight to talk about some of the great prizes we will be raffling off. Aaron, let's get to it. Tell us what you got for us tonight.
Well, tonight, guys, we have some of our newer sponsors and some oldies but goodies coming back here this year for Paddlepalooza. And I do apologize. I'm kind of late to get on the game here. Tyler, you want to cue me up? I'm still trying to pull up my list of we've got a kind of a prepared list of things we're going through, so I don't want to jump to the gun on any of them, but I'm trying to get that list. Tyler, what's our first one you got lined up for us, if you can remind me while I get this up?
BD Outdoors and Local Knowledge.
Okay, cool. So BD Outdoors is BD is the acronym for Bloody Decks. That is a fishing forum done by a friend of mine, Ali Husseini, out of San Diego, California. They run probably the nation, if not the world's largest offshore fishing forum, bdoutdoors.com. And about 2-3 years ago, he got on board with his buddy Rush Maltz out of Key West, Florida, and that South Florida area, and they started a show called Local Knowledge, which airs on the Discovery Channel. So they've got a nationwide show. It's a great show where they go around the nation fishing offshore, and their big point about their show is you can fish an area, but the best thing or the best way to get acquainted to fish an area and learn about that area is asking the locals. So they do a real good job of going into detail about a specific fishery, about everything around it, and about the people who grow up and surround that fishery, whether it be from the industry to getting bait, learning about where the fish are, how they migrate. But it's very different in a show as to where a lot of shows they'll catch something. These guys really kind of tell the story about where they're fishing and what they're fishing about, and the people who have come before them to fish these big pelagic species offshore. So really cool show. Been meaning to get them on board with us, and they were nice enough to send us some swag. So check your bags when you come in for the tournament. You'll have some things there. And also we'll be raffling off some hats and t-shirts for them. But check their show out. Like I said, it's on Discovery Channel. It's pretty cool. I do know there are some sections of the forum for Grand Isle as well as, that Pensacola side. So I know that there are some people that do like to do some offshore fishing from kayaks. And look, you never know. You may find out some tips. If you don't find out fishing reports, you'll definitely get some cool tips on rigging and what baits to use and things like that could come in handy for fishing offshore. So
I love fishing offshore. It's one of those things where you never know what you're going to catch. I mean, you throw it out today, and it's wahoo, amberjack. It's just all kinds of craziness. So that's great. That's going to be something interesting to look forward to.
Yeah. So what's our? I'm getting signed in right now, so I should.
Yeah, Overcast Lure Company, Aaron.
Overcast Lure. So so this is another returning sponsor of ours. Zach Bro, originally out of the Pierre Part area, but I believe now living in the Gonzales area. The owner, proprietor of Overcast Lures. Some really cool. We started off with Overcast Lures. We highlighted or the biggest thing to showcase there were their top waters. So Zach has these top waters, and he hand paints these for his customers, and they come out. I mean, really amazing. He's using the body style paint that are like the I'm seeing model, but it's like car type paint that doesn't chip easy, holds on to its longevity. They've got great action. Hooks are super sharp, and so he's got a handful of those in various shapes and colors and sizes. My favorite being the Hogzilla. When he first came out with those, and I tried his Fanger Banger, I think it's one model, and some other ones, and I was like, Zach, I like the top waters, but one of the things I really like about my top waters that I like to throw, I like loud. And he's like, you know what? I just so happen to be coming out one called Hogzilla, and you really need to try that one out. And I did, and like I said, it's a great one. It's got a bigger BB inside. It's got a louder knock. This past year, though, he's also come out with some new ones, some new lures, which are in the swim bait category. So the Swim and Shad, he is starting to push those out, and I hear they've been doing very well, catching trout, especially in Pontchartrain down in Grand Isle. So we're happy to have him on board again this year. I think he may or may not come and set up a table to also sell some for Friday and Saturday. So we'll be very fortunate if he can do that. But we will be having some raffles, some packs of lures, whether it be the top waters and Swim and Shad and things, and some hats to put together for some prize packs, and we'll raffle those off later that Saturday night.
That's great, man. I know. Overcast always donates some really good stuff to the club for the raffles, and their product. I know that Peck Kayak Rentals sells some of their stuff.
Yep. We've got Pack Kayak Rental sells some stuff. I've seen them actually. We saw them this past weekend at Tides. We stopped in for a bite at lunch. There were some top waters and soft plastics there by Overcast Lure. But he's got them in a good number of stores around Louisiana. Also, I think if you're looking for them, you're not running out by Tides, or if you're not out by Pack, you can go on overcastlurecompany.com. It's actually overcastlureco.com if you're looking for that. Pack Kayak Rentals, that's another sponsor of ours, one of our really good sponsors. Yep. Pack Kayak Rentals, not really a secret amongst the kayak community. Eddie and Lisa Mullen running a real great setup there. Sorry, I'm trying to get this big bright light out of my back here. My head's already shiny enough.
It looks like you waxed it tonight.
I'm sweating. Nervous. Yeah, Eddie and Lisa Mullen. I mean, every other day, someone on the forum, Facebook page, talks about the great fish and the greatness that is Pack. Eddie and Lisa run a top-notch facility down there. I mean, we never can say enough about them. The launch itself is a floating dock, floating slip. I think there's 4 or 5 slips for kayaks. Anybody who's ever fished there knows it's very tidal, so the water is always high and low, high and low. Well, that dock, that slip that they've got for the kayaks goes with the water, so it's always fairly easy to get your kayak into that slip and get set up to where your kayak's not going anywhere, and you can simply sit off, roll off the dock and kind of sit in your yak and go to town. They've got a great little shop with all kinds of accessories, lures, tackle, baits, you name it. I mean, they're fully stocked with all your favorites, especially like Overcast Lures. They've got, I think they've got some death grip. They're carrying death grip jig heads and swimming mullets and mad mullets and all those from Captain Lane, maybe even some Cajun lures. We'll talk about those at some point. And then, just their hospitality. I mean, they love living there. They love being out of, near the water and doing what they do. And they show that through their customer service. I mean, I've said it before. I've gone take a mothership trip, which is one thing that Eddie does. He does mothership trips. They've also got guide services there. But I've done a mothership trip before, more than once, where, I've parked, started kind of pulling some stuff out the back of my truck, and, they'll mention, hey, let me help you get your kayak. I'm like, no, I got it. No big deal. Cause I'm not too old to where I can't unload my own kayak, but no sooner do I look in the back of my truck and look back, they've already got it unstrapped.
Yeah. One of my first memories of going to Peck, I remember getting back from fishing and pulled into the slip. And I think still this might have been when they only had 2 slips. I mean, it was when they first started. And I couldn't even get my kayak out the water. And Mr. Eddie was back there picking out my trash out of the back of my kayak, like my empty chip bags and stuff, to go throw them away. And I was like, you really don't have to do that. I mean, that just shows the kind of people are, how much they care and what kind of service they offer out there.
Yeah. Aaron, what is Pack Kayak Rentals donating to the raffle this year?
So those familiar with Pack know that they've got a real big houseboat right on the corner of their property there that stays parked, but it has rooms in it, and it sleeps, I want to say maybe 4 or 6 people.
Oh, at least 6. I know we had 5 or 6 of us sleeping there one night.
I'd say 6 to 8.
Yeah.
And I'd say, where it's positioned at and the lights they've got on it, you can actually fish off the side of that boat. They've also got a pier on the property that you can walk out to and fish. They've got a really nice setup there. And they're going to be giving away a 2-night stay to the houseboat for the raffle. So the winner will get 2 free nights on the houseboat. And like I said, even if by chance you don't bring a kayak to fish, you can fish off the side of the boat, fish off the pier. There's some bank fishing nearby. And also I want to mention, just this past year, they opened up their pack shack. There's all kind of food there. Oh my God. We've gotten sick from the amounts of food we've pulled from that place. I think one time for the tournament last year, our trout challenge that half of us didn't fish. And I'm looking at you, Sean, because you stayed in and slept through it.
I did.
You did.
I caught as many trout as the whole. I caught as many trout that day as everybody in the tournament.
You're right. I at least caught a redfish. I'm just letting you know. I mean, people didn't catch. I'll tip my hat on that one. But the night before, I think we ordered like one of every appetizer, and it was just like we were like couldn't move. We had so much food. I know they make these huge biscuits that in the mornings for breakfast. They've got these huge hamburgers, and everything's good. So I mean, you've got everything you could want. You got a great launch. You got great people, good food, good fishing. It's no secret why everybody loves that place, and you could win a free 2-night stay on the houseboat and have a really good weekend and bring some other people. I don't believe they limit it to the people. I mean, of course, the houseboat sleeps only so many people, so you can't go over that number. But it's not. Understand the voucher's not for 2 people. It's just for 2 nights. So if you've got, 4 or 6 other friends who you want to bring out, then, they'll get to stay with you in that.
Yeah, no, the food over there is really good. I know I get the chicken tenders over there. They're really good. Tyler has the burger.
The Pack Attack.
Most men have the burger, Sean. Most men.
Yeah. But I think they've also got ice cream.
Yeah, I actually, the last tournament we had there, I got the milkshake, and it was real good. I don't know why. It seems like every time I get off the water, I'm just looking for something greasy and fattening. And I had the burger and finished it off with a milkshake. It was great.
Oh, that's good stuff. So look, if you're looking for a little bit more information about it, you can go to Pack, PAC, kayakrental.com. Certainly, they've got a Facebook page as well. You got any questions, give Mr. Eddie a call. If you win the voucher, you definitely want to go ahead and book it as soon as possible for a weekend, because I know that thing books months out in advance.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So next one is one of my favorites, Emerald Coast Kayak Fishing. Tell us about that, and I'll tell you my own personal experience.
So I got my list back up. So Brandon Barton, member of ours for many years now, also avid tournament angler for BCKFC, always coming in and fishing our tournaments, placing well. Also, big fisherman with the IFA. He has a charter service out there called Emerald Coast Kayak Fishing.
Emerald Waters.
Emerald Waters Kayak Fishing. And what he does is he actually does he's got two kind of packages, and I say two. I have to check with him, but he may also have like a third type package you can do. Of course, you've got the inshore, which is the basic reds and trout and flounder in inshore waters. He also does an offshore package where you'll go about 4 miles off the beach in Pensacola, and I've done this trip with him.
I have as well. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I did it a little late in the snapper season. That was just because that's when I could go. But still, went 4 miles out, trolled baits. Or actually, we started by catching our own bait. So dropping sabiki rigs and kind of pulling up hardtails and different little, whatever little bait fish we could find and putting him in his live well or in the bait tubes. And then began trawling out to his areas where he knows where there's rigs or underwater structure to fish for snapper. We ended up catching our limit of snapper. They were kind of small, but like I said, we were late in the season. All the big ones had kind of been fished off or had pulled off of the rigs. And then on the way back, we found a couple schools of some small cobia and kind of fished around for those, and that was kind of fun. But yeah, it was a cool trip. We had a really great weather day. I know sometimes offshore is kind of makes you anxious because you could have bad weather days. We got a lot of surf you got to get through and stuff like that. We actually had a great day weather wise. Sun was shining. At one point, I think the water was just like glass. I mean, it would have been a great topwater day if we'd have saw anything busting. But for being as late as it was in the season, I was pretty satisfied with with our day, and it was a good time. And then I know the third package he may or may not offer, but I know a lot of people really like it, especially right now, are bull reds at night at the bridge. If you go to their Facebook page or go to their website, emeraldwaterskayakcharters.com, you'll see a lot of photos of his clients going at night for bull reds under the lights at the Pensacola Bridge. And it's really cool. He'll throw a lot of top waters, and he has some lights that he will shine in front of his kayak, and you'll see them kind of, right at the surface of the water. And they pull up some really big bull reds. So I don't quote me on that being an available package. I just know he does offer that for paid clientele. But definitely, if anything, the voucher that we're giving is one free trip, either inshore or offshore. Of course, you got to get there. Now, he does, however, provide a kayak if you need it. So you do not have to bring your own if you don't have one, or if you just don't want to carry that to Pensacola if you're going on a trip with family. So he can provide kayak as well as tackle. I think you just bring your drinks and snacks if you want that on the water. But it's a really great trip, especially if you want to try offshore species from a kayak. It's definitely a good experience.
It's a real good time. I mean, you touched on red snapper, cobia, Spanish mackerel, king mackerel. I've seen them catch sailfish out there. I know last year they had a big run of tarpon. They were catching these massive tarpon off the beach out there. 150, 200 pound tarpon, sharks. So, there's all kind of things out there that you can catch. You'd be surprised what you can catch 3 miles off the beach. I had no idea that you could catch those type of fish that close in. But, you get lucky. Certainly the red snapper, if you get there early in the season, he's got some reefs marked. He'll take you out there. You drop it down 60, 80 feet with his gear, and, you're pulling up some nice red snapper. I had the opportunity to go with him, and I caught a beautiful snapper. The guy that was on the trip with me, I think he had a real nice cobia. It was just a great experience. And, we also caught some mackerel and stuff, but it was a great experience. If you want to check.
Like I said, definitely check. If you're interested in that and you really want to get on the better fish, definitely check. I would be lying if I told you what the season was for snapper in Florida, but definitely check, Florida recreational fishing game website, wildlife website, or message Brandon, see when the season starts, because the earlier you can. So the way he explained it to me, snapper congregate on these structures, and when the season first opens up, that's when you can expect the larger snapper to be on those structures. So when I went, it was the end of the year. By that point, anything big had either moved off or had already been caught. So the best times where to go is early on in the season. So find out when that season opens and try to book your trip with him as soon as possible if you're interested in some really bigger. But I'll be honest, even the small snapper and these were nothing to write home about. They were big enough to keep, but not no records anywhere near what they've caught in the past. Those things pull. I mean,
they do.
It's amazing the thump that even those small snapper give. Like they want to pull the rod out your arms, and I'm reeling up and I'm like, oh, what is it? And it's like, oh, it's a snapper, but it's a small snapper. I think it would be amazing to try something to get into something bigger like that. We did hook into a black tip shark that pulled me for a while. And then once we found out it was a shark, we just, snapped the leader to not, break anything. But that was probably the biggest thing that day that we hooked into. And like I said, it at one point I was making a wake on the side of my kayak and I noticed I wasn't pedaling. So that was really cool to feel that, to pull, feel that pull on there. So, yeah.
And so if you want some more information, if you're going down to Pensacola or in that area and you want to book a trip with Brandon, you can check him out at www.emeraldwaterskayakcharters.com or just Google Brandon Barton. I'm sure it'll come up. That's how I booked my trip with him a couple of years ago. Had a great time. Brandon's real safe. He's a good guy. He'll talk to you. He'll even teach you some things out there. Don't be looking to mark any reef spots, but he'll help you out and kind of show you the gear that he's fishing with and how he's fishing out there. So moving on to the next sponsor we've got is Astral. Yeah, tell us a little bit about Astral.
Astral's a second-year sponsor. They are the makers of some PFDs as well as outdoor and water sport footwear. Last year, they were nice enough to give us some discounts on some PFDs, and we bought a couple and raffled them off. This year, I looked at their list of things, and I really did like the shoes that I saw on their website. But, I was like, well, I would like to say we get some shoes, but then, we would need sizes with that. So what we got from them this year is 2 vouchers, 60% off any item off of their online store. So if you go to their site and, most people or everybody, in the tournament should have a PFD because that's one of our rules. But I do know a lot of people that, they sometimes ask, what kind of shoes we wear or should be worn. And these just looked really comfortable, really nice.
I actually have 2 pairs of their shoes, and I love them. And I'll tell you what I love even more. I have a pair of their flip-flops. And those things, I've gone through multiple pairs of flip-flops where they don't last very long. You blow them out. But I've worn these things. I mean, in the summertime, that is all I wear. I've worn them working in the yard all last summer, and they still look like the day I bought them, and they're super comfortable. I plan to get me another pair. But
do they stink after you've been in the water? I know sometimes I get those flip-flops, and they smell bad after they've kind of been in that water for a little while.
No, I haven't noticed that anyway. And like I said, I also have 2 pairs. Most of their shoes are designed to be worn in the water as well and have the drain holes and stuff. And I find them to be very comfortable. I like to wear them when I'm kayak fishing, and they're really comfortable. And I'm glad we got the voucher this year to give people an opportunity to get that.
That's nice.
Yeah, I kind of took a personal note on that. Like I said, their PFDs are nice, but when I saw the shoes, I was like, man, if I were to get if I were to get or win this voucher, it's like, what would I buy? I'd probably buy the shoes before I'd buy the PFD. And so that's when I talked with those guys out there. And I said, look, I really I don't feel comfortable deciding, just to get PFD. So how about we just get a straight, coupon for a hefty discount, and we'll let the winners decide. So that's what we've got. Their website is www.astral, ASTRAL, designs.com. And you can check out all their different models of shoes as well as PFDs. Fairly reasonably priced. And to be honest, with that 60% voucher, they'd be super cheap after that. So that voucher will get a real cool deal from Astral.
The next one up, we've got AO Coolers, another returning sponsor, I think.
Yep. AO Coolers, they've been sponsors with us at least for about 4 or 5 years. Also, another great cooler. I know we talk a lot about the Columbias, but the 36 can AO cooler is another one that's really up there, especially with kayakers. I know it was one of my first coolers that I ever purchased, and its design is really unique in that on the corners of the zippers, if you've ever seen the AO coolers, the ends of each side of the zippers have clips that pull down tight and can secure their points, I guess if you want to call that, to the side of the cooler. This gives the cooler a more box-like appearance, also making the opening very, very box-like and sturdy. And so basically something that is really good to sit on the side of a kayak. It also gives some points that allow you to latch onto your kayak to secure the cooler from falling off. But really nice cool. And then if you get too many fish, like I did my first tournament, Minimalist Challenge, you can.
Oh, here we go again.
Here we go. Yeah, gotta pull on those. Gotta get back to that. You can unlatch the corners or the tips of that zipper, and it really opens up. I mean, they say 36. I feel like the 36 number comes with the latches down or the clips down, because once you unclip that thing, I mean, it's a massive cooler inside. So, fit you 5, fat reds, fit a mess of trout in there, get your fish in there, and very strong, and just, really well-rounded cooler. That's really, really a good size and good shape for a kayak. It's boxy enough to be big enough to fit your fish and kind of fit in some of these areas on our yak, but also soft enough that if you get into a bind and have to put some gear in a certain place or put your seat back a certain way, you're not going to be stuck in an awkward position that you would with a plastic cooler. So you get kind of the benefits of a square plastic cooler, but in a soft cooler package.
Yeah. And just real quick, I know we also have gotten 4 $50 gift cards from Puglia's sporting goods store here in Metairie off of Veterans in Bonneville. Puglia's has been a sponsor of the club for the last couple of years. They have a really good selection of both fresh and saltwater gear. A lot of saltwater gear over there, rods, reels. They carry, I think, some Zook rods, some Deuce rods. They've got a lot of good things over there. They also have hunting equipment. They've got clothing accessories, outdoor stuff. So we really appreciate Puglia's continued sponsorship of the club and those gift cards. So those will be, I think, included in the raffle, or they may actually be prizes. I'm not sure yet what they've decided to be done with, but they are a sponsor of the club, and we really appreciate it. So I think that's basically everything we've got. We're going to cover some more stuff next week at Backpacker when we have our show over there next week. And so, Aaron, again, we appreciate you coming on tonight. I know you had a lot going on right now in your life. With everything going on, we appreciate you coming on and spending a few minutes with us tonight and telling us about these great sponsors and the prizes we got.
Not a problem, guys. Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you, Aaron. All right. Okay, guys. So we've gotten through a lot of the stuff, and I know you guys have been waiting for us to get into our scouting report. So let's talk a little bit about 2 other areas that will be in play for Paddlepalooza. First area is going to be Leeville. I know a lot of people are familiar with Leeville. We fish over there certainly for Minimalist Challenge every year in January. A little bit different setup here when you come in April. The fishing tends to get a little bit better. certainly you've got your choice of lures and able to use live bait as well. So Leeville can be a great place to fish if you know where to go. The first thing you want to look at is the launches, and the two main launches in Leeville are going to be at Topwater Marina, which is probably one of the northernmost places you probably want to launch over there. And you've also got the public launch. So Topwater puts you further north and with striking distance and some really good places to fish for trout. The public launch gives you easy access to both the east and west sides of Leeville. Typically speaking, and I've been fishing over Leeville for a few years now, and I've heard some people tell me this, and this is kind of what I found as well. The east side of Leeville is generally considered a better place to fish for trout. The west side, typically speaking, a little bit better for redfish. I think you have a little bit more marshy areas over there. Certainly, though, you can catch both species on either side. But I think typically, I'll tend to go, if I'm fishing for trout, I'm going to go fish the east side. If I'm fishing for redfish, I'm going to probably fish the west side. Now, if you're going to launch at Topwater, Topwater does have a fee to launch, but the public launch is free. Now, there are a couple of places to stay in Leeville. Topwater has some rooms to rent. Some of the places they have there include a kitchen. They have an outdoor barbecue pit. You've got the launch there on site. There's some covered areas for parking, etc. If you're looking for a little bit cheaper option, Boudreaux's is another place over there, not too far from the public launch. It's a great place to look at if you're just looking for a bed and a cool room to spend the night. There's a really couple of good places to eat over there. You'd be surprised. Leeville's not that big. It's it seems like you hit Leeville, and as soon as you hit it, you're out of it. And most people are going down to Grand Isle or stopping before them. But the Leeville restaurant down there is a really good place to eat. They've got a big selection of food. Don't be afraid to eat there. They've got some soft shell crabs, fried shrimp, all kinds of good things.
Yeah, Leeville Restaurants, who has been catering the food for us the last few years, the Minimalist Challenge too. So if you've eaten the pasta that we've had at the weigh-in, then that's actually from Leeville Restaurant.
Absolutely, and the food we've stayed over there a couple of times for Minimalist Challenge and gone over there at night and had some really good meals over there. If you're looking for something quick, Tides right there when you enter, they've got some really good breakfast sandwiches, hamburgers, chicken tenders, a bunch of other different items. They open up real early, so you can get in there that morning if you want a cup of coffee, a little breakfast sandwich, biscuits, sausage egg biscuits, things of that nature. They've also got a pretty good selection of artificial baits, hooks, corks. If you need to pick something up, we always forget something when we get down there, and you want to get something, so you can go stop by Tides, and they've got some good selection of baits for you. Now, if you're looking for live bait, I was actually down in Leeville today. Terry's is a good place to go get some live bait, also to get some information. Terry's has got both minnows and live shrimp right now. The shrimp that he's got are actually really good size. I can tell you that I fished, and I'll talk a little bit more about it a little bit in the show. I fished in Grand Isle on Saturday, and I fished south of Golden Meadow today. And the trout are a little finicky. They are wanting some live shrimp. You can catch trout on artificial, but I think if you want to guarantee it, you may want to pick up some live shrimp or some minnows, certainly. Terry said that he was going to be opening up about 3 o'clock, roughly 3:30, Paddlepalooza morning. So, you'll be able to get over there, get your bait, and get to your fishing spot early. Also, please note that this is cash only. You're probably going to want to make sure you have a little bit of cash on you when you come down there. I know we're all used to using debit cards and credit cards these days, but a lot of these launches, if you're fishing base-ons, if you're fishing topwater, you're going to need to have cash to launch. Same thing with Terry's. If you're looking to get live bait, you want to have cash on you so you can buy that live bait over there. So look, there's a lot of great places to fish down in Leeville. One, certainly we talked about you can launch at the kayak launch. You can launch at Topwater. Also, if you go across the bridge, once you pay the toll, you get on the toll bridge, you're heading towards Grand Isle. You'll notice there's a cutoff, probably about a mile down the road. Once you get on the bridge, the expressway, hang your first right. It's the only place you can turn right until the expressway ends, and you're basically on Old Highway 1. That used to now this is before my time. I don't remember it all that well as far as me going down there, but Old Highway 1 used to connect, I think, where the public launch is at now, I believe, where the roads used to connect. But in any event, you can get on Old Highway 1, and from there you can either go left or right. And if you go right, you can go about probably about a mile up the road. There's a dead end on the right-hand side. There's a great place to launch right there that'll put you in some good waters for trout, move you around a little bit. Or you can go to the left for a few miles, and eventually you'll hit Fouchon's over there by Moran's Restaurant and Hotel. Now, on the way over there, there's a bunch of spots to combat launch off of Old Highway 1, and you've got easy access to the east or west side of Leeville. What I like to do is, if I'm looking where to fish before the tournament, I'm really looking at that wind. Typically, April and May, we can get some windy areas, and you want to look at what direction that wind's coming from, which side may be protected depending on the wind. So you've got the opportunity to launch on either side of the road. What I like to do is I'll drive down there maybe if I think that's an area that I'm going to fish, and I'm going to look at possible launch spots. You can't launch it along the whole way of the road, but there's plenty of areas that are, the grass is flattened out. You can put it into the water, take a look at where you're at on your phone, pull up Google Maps, take a look at where you're at, kind of keep note of that, and then look at some of the marsh in the area around. You can catch trout, redfish, and flounder on both sides of the road over there. You don't have to go very far. I've talked to a lot of guys that would fish out there. I know Brendan told me a great story about a guy who caught a big flounder literally in the ditch he put his kayak in one year right off the side of the road. So you don't have to go far. There's a lot of trout, a lot of redfish, and there's a good bit of protected water out there. So if you're looking to fish Leeville, those are a number of options that you can look at. Grand Isle, obviously the tournament's in Grand Isle. You have a lot of options. So if you take the expressway all the way down on Highway 1, and you'll get to the caution light, the four-way caution light with Moran's Hotel on your left, you hang a left and you start heading down towards Grand Isle. You've got that whole roadway from that caution light all the way down until you hit the island to combat launch off the side of. There again, take a look at the wind direction, where the wind may be blowing. You can get out your car. You can look at some areas judging the water visibility, the clarity. But we were actually fishing down there on Saturday, and it did really well with some redfish fishing in the marsh off that side. Now, look, a lot of people will go down and fish. There's two bridges down heading towards Grand Isle. A lot of people like to launch off the side of the road. One thing I noticed when I was down there Saturday, these bridges, they redid the bridges last year. You guys remember that we had a lot of traffic. They had one lane open while they redid the bridges. The bridges are redone, but they've put these big rocks lining the side of the road now. Whereas before you had the little pebble rocks and an easy, smooth transition. These are some pretty big rocks. It's going to make it a little bit harder to launch because you got to navigate over the walks. You can't really just slide your kayak in. But those rocks are only close to the bridge. So, if you don't want to launch at the bridge, you can launch a little bit further up the road or a little bit past the bridges, make it a little bit easier to get into the water. But there's a lot of fish out there. Redfish, speckled trout, flounder, both sides are good to fish. Personal opinion, I've done a little bit better fishing on the right-hand side of the road than the left-hand side. That's just my own personal experience, but I've seen a lot of guys that go up there, they'll fish the left-hand side, and again, you don't have to go very far. You're in the marsh, you're catching redfish. They've got some big trout up in there. You'd be surprised the size of the trout that go up in that marsh over there. Some people think you can only have to go to the island to catch a big trout, but they've gotten some pretty big trout in that marshy area. So that's a great place to go, especially if the wind kicks up and you're looking to get out of the wind and get a little cover. You can certainly go back there and catch some fish. So aside from that marsh area on Old Highway 1, if you're actually going to be fishing on the island, the three most popular spots to fish from are going to be Bridgeside, which is certainly in the marina right when you cross over the bridge hitting on the island. And when you hit Bridgeside, most of the people are going to paddle over to the rocks. You come out the marina, you take a left, you paddle over to the rocks and start fishing there. Some people will cross over to Elmer's and fish over there. Again, you're going to have to pick your days very carefully. It gets windy out there. It gets choppy. Certainly, you can find some protected areas, but any type of good south wind is going to make it a little bit difficult. The other place you can fish is Sand Dollar. Sand Dollar's at the other end of the island. I believe it's the same owners as Bridgeside, but you go all the way up to Sand Dollar. You'll see there's some rock structure out there straight across from the marina. There's some along the same side of the marina. Those are really good for trout. I've caught some redfish out there, but generally I find those spots are really good for trout. The only drawback with that area I find is that when it gets busy and the boats start running, you can catch a lot of wakes from the boats if you're fishing on the main canal where the marina is at. You have to go on the other side of the rocks to kind of get protected from that, but that can be a good area. The last place, and it's a pretty popular place, is the kayak launch. It's the Kristen and Danny Ray kayak launch they built. It's been open for a few years now. It's basically right smack dab in the middle of the island, right next to I think it's like a wildlife and fishery department there. But it's a nice launch. It's all sandy. It's free, so you can get in there. And right when you get to the kayak launch, there are all kind of places to fish. You've got rocks out there that you can fish for trout, redfish, flounder. There's an island easily paddling distance from the kayak launch, straight out. You can't miss it. It's a big island. You can find protection from most of the wind out there, any side of the island you want to fish. So that's a great place to go. Then you can go to the left, and once you get past the rock jetties out there, you'll see there are signs. They've got these big, 4-way signs that mark a artificial reef. And so you'll see it. I think we have one marked on there. Kind of hard to miss, especially when the water's low. The reef will be actually exposed for the water. But you can fish that reef. And you want to be careful when you're on your kayak because you'll ruin your drive if you go over it. There are breaks in the reef. You can cross the reef. You need to pick up your drive and paddle across it. But you can actually troll along that reef. There are sheepshead, drum, redfish, trout, all kinds of fish along that reef. You can fish both sides. You can fish the bank in between the reef and the island. There's just a lot of good areas to fish up in there in that kayak launch. It's a favorite spot for a lot of people going down there. You can go to the left, you can go to the right. So a lot of good places out there to fish. Again, if you're looking for places to stay, Bridgeside has got some cabins. You're going to want to try to reserve it. They may already be booked up. Sand Dollar also has some cabins to rent. That's on the other end of the island. I know Ricky's Motel is probably about a mile from Sand Dollars. It's an inexpensive place. They've got a launch over there. They've got a dock that you can fish at night. It's cold rooms. Then if you're looking for something a little bit bigger, maybe you and some friends want to get together, there are a lot of camps out in Grand Isle to rent. I know that if you just Google or VRBO or something of that nature, there are a lot of camps out there this time of year. You can probably get them still fairly cheap. I know once the summer hits, they start booking up, the prices go up. But I'm telling you, they got camps that sleep 12 to 15 guys out there. So you can certainly get together with some guys, rent a camp. We certainly encourage everybody to stay at least Saturday night if you can. If you've been fishing all day, the tournament goes into the night sometimes with the raffle. People are going to be drinking. So be careful, be safe. Find a place to stay if you can that night and have a really good time.
Yeah. There's also the Grand Isle State Park. If you have a camper or into tent camping, I think you can even get spots there and set up tents. I know some guys like to camp.
Absolutely. So, I've gotten a chance to do a little bit of scouting the last week and a half. After Double Trouble, my focus kind of switched on over down to Grand Isle and some of those areas. I fished Golden Meadow. I feel pretty good with Golden Meadow, and I tell you, I've gotten some reports out of there from this past weekend. There's still some trout being caught down there, redfish certainly, and flounder in Golden Meadow. So that's a good spot to fish for this tournament. Saturday, a few of us went down to Grand Isle. We fished the marsh. It was really windy. We had 15, 20 knot winds on Saturday. For the most part, the water was dirty. We did find some areas in the marsh, though, with some grass. We had some really good visibility. I think we only caught one trout, but we did catch a lot of redfish. So there was a good bit of redfish out there. You can see that the shrimp have come in, at least in the marsh, shrimp popping everywhere. The redfish were active. Not really the studs that you were hoping for. I think we had one, maybe two over 25 inches. typically, you want to get a 25, 26 inch redfish for a tournament like this. So I think maybe the bigger reds may be still a bit further north. Still not sure what's going on with the trout. We caught one trout on Saturday. Now that could have just been because of the conditions with the wind and the dirty water. It was supposed to be a full moon. I think the first spawn was supposed to happen, but we've had kind of a weird fall. I mean, a weird spring with the cooler weather. So I'm not sure. The trout are still in transition. Not sure what's going on with that. Certainly, they are catching some trout down in Grand Isle right now. Not the numbers I expected. So you may want to look at Leeville and some other areas. Golden Meadow. You never know. A week and a half from now, if you can get a chance and you get to go out scouting a little bit, certainly try to get out there that Friday and see what you can catch. Today, I got to go out fishing today. I had the day off of work, and I checked with a few guys, and certainly it's hard for a lot of people to get off during the week to go.
Yeah,
but
I envy you fellas that can fish during the week like that.
It was tough. I mean, I'm out there busting my hump to bring information, and collect intel for off the water. You're sitting there at a cush job in the air conditioning. I was up at 3:30 in the morning, driving down there for 2 hours, and it was a struggle. The struggle was real this morning on the way down there. I was tired right now. I got a little sun, but it was a good day. We had fun today. Me and Francis Strain, actually, we got to go out fishing, and we had a bet going down there. He's like, we ought to throw a bet and make things. He likes to put money on everything. So Francis said, let's put $20 on who can catch a flounder.
Yeah, he's been on a hot streak, so he's been feeling lucky lately, I think.
He has been on a hot streak, but he lost to me last time. And so we went down there and started fishing. We actually started at the rocks at Grand Isle. We wanted to go see if we could fish over there. We went out to Grand Isle, fished the rocks. We fished there for an hour. He had one blow up, and that was it. And so we said, well, the water looks dirty down here. Let's move. So we picked up all our crap and we moved. Just got out there and went to try a different area, see if we could get some better luck. So we started fishing a little bit and started putting away some reds. Just the reds were really, really active today. One thing I found, though, not a lot of shrimp popping around like it was last time. We saw a lot of mullet and it looked like some shad. But this guy, I'm going to tell you something. He caught not one, not two, not three, 4 flounder today. 4 flounder today. And really, really embarrassed me. I mean, I couldn't catch one. I think I lost one. I'm pretty sure I lost one. But he had 4, all unartificial. And every time I turn around, he's yelling at me, I got a flounder. It was kind of funny. Now, he did a great job. He really had the technique down today, fishing artificial, getting his bait up against that grass, bouncing it around a little bit. He actually had two slams today. I mean, you'd think he would have 4, but he actually only managed 2 redfish, whereas me, I kept throwing in the grass for flounder and I kept catching redfish for some reason. So anyway, based on what I saw today, and we found some clean water, some green water coming in. And mind you, this is after the wind's been blowing north for a few days. I think if we can keep up with the south wind, we're going to get some more clean water in. I think we're going to have a number of slams caught this year. I think it's going to be the best year we've had probably since about 4 years ago when we had all those slams caught that year down at Topwater. But a lot of redfish too. Saw a lot of redfish today, 4 flounder. Some trout were caught. Again, a little bit less than I thought. They were a little finicky. I really think if we had just, gone out and bought some live shrimp, we would have done a little bit better with the trout. But, all you need is one on tournament day. So I think we're going to have a lot of slams out there for people that are wondering how the fishing is. I think the redfish are everywhere. The trout are kind of spotty. And I think the flounder are out there. So certainly it's something to look forward to. It's very encouraging when you can go out and you see the flounder being caught because they're out there. Whereas I think last year we had a report of 1 flounder being caught before the tournament. So that's good to know. Get out there if you can. This weekend will probably be nice. If you can get out there Friday, do a little scouting, see what you can find. But I think this is going to be a great tournament. Eric and Todd and those guys picked a great weekend for the tournament.
Yeah, the tide forecast is, I mean, you can't ask for better. So it's really.
I think it's a 10. Don't we have a 10 forecast, fishing forecast?
I think so. We gotta hope that the weather plays in our favor because we know how that goes.
Yeah, if the weather plays in our favor, it's going to be great. And like I said, I think there's going to be a lot of times. I think certainly a lot of people are going to catch redfish this weekend. I think in the last 2 trips I had down there, I probably caught 10 reds, and I was fishing for trout and flounder half the time. So it's basically a accidental byproduct of what you're fishing for. So I think people are going to be pretty pumped. If you're on the fence about whether or not to fish it, I'm telling you, this is going to be a tournament you're going to want to fish. I think we're going to have great weather. I think the fish are going to be good, and I think we're going to catch a lot of fish out there. So look, guys, I know we're running a little over. Just real quick, next week's episode will be filmed live from the Backpacker.
Hopefully, let's say hopefully. We're gonna
Tyler, tell us a little bit.
We're gonna do. I mean, this will be our first try at doing this on location. So we're gonna do our best. If it doesn't come through live, we're certainly going to record the whole thing and try to get it up at some point, even if it may not be live. So we're not sure. We'll see how fast the internet speed is and see if we can get it to work. But
yeah, and tell who's going to be over there at Backpacker? I know we've got a special guest coming on to talk about really kind of prepping for Paddlepalooza. Who is that?
Yeah, Brendan Bayard's going to be there. He has a real great, I think he really does it every year. A nice seminar usually has a PowerPoint put together with some real good information to prepare for Paddlepalooza.
Yeah, and I think Brendan's won Paddlepalooza a couple times or something like that. He's a great fisherman. I talk to him every now and again. He's just a wealth of knowledge out there. So if you can't attend it in person, certainly if you're in the area and you can make it, come on by. It'd be great. Maybe you can come by and say hello on the camera. We'll get you on the show. If not, certainly then you'll be able to watch it. Later on in the week before the tournament. So that's what's going on next week's episode. Also, I think Brock is going to be announcing the grand prize next week.
He is. He gave us a few teasers. In the past they've always done a PA-14, and this year they're switching it up, trying to put a little spin on it. I think it's. I'm excited about it, and I'm anxious for everybody to hear about it.
I am too. And so we've got I think he'll be announcing the grand prize and the second place prize. So that'll be great, and we look forward to next week's episode. So real quick, volunteer list. We need volunteers to make this thing work. If you haven't volunteered yet, please do so. Volunteers will gain entry into a special raffle. It's basically a free entry into a raffle if you volunteer. I know we need some cooks for Saturday night, I think, especially, and clean up the next morning is real helpful if you can do that. The officers, we don't want to be there either cleaning up, but if you can come out there Sunday morning and just help us for an hour or so, we certainly appreciate it. Also, we've got Tacklepalooza and Trashapalooza set up again this year. Tyler, can you tell us a little bit about those two things?
Yeah, so Tacklepalooza, we asked that everybody, whoever wants to participate, you'll bring a brand new lure or package of lures valued over $5. We want it to be brand new. Don't bring something used that you found in your tackle box. Each person that turns in a lure will receive a raffle ticket, and we'll be collecting lures at the captain's meeting and at the weigh-in. And during the award ceremony, we will pull one name from the raffle tickets of people who turned in lures, and you will go home with the entire package. I'm telling you, I've seen these things, these bags of lures, and you will be set for years. I mean,
for years. Yeah, absolutely.
The amount of tackle in there is unbelievable. We ask you to please, bring something that you like to fish with. Bring something decent. Don't go find something in the back of your closet that's collecting dust that nobody's going to want. Please, we encourage you to not just pull some tackle out of your captain's bag and throw it in there because you forgot last minute. We don't want the entire bag to be the exact same lure. So try to plan ahead. Go by the store. Pick something up. Put some effort into it. Then go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Tom.
So the next thing we have is Trash Bash, which was started by it was an idea Tyler Drude had, a past officer a few years ago, and Basically, we will hand out crawfish sacks at the captain's meeting. We had a question come through on the forum, on Facebook earlier. You do not have to use the crawfish sack. If you can't make it to the captain's meeting and you want to participate, obviously bring something to put some trash in about the same size or greater. Bring it to the weigh-in. We ask that you pick up the trash throughout your day of fishing, whether it's at your launch location, while you're out in the marsh, on your drive back to the weigh-in. I will tell you, I encourage everybody to participate. We always say that we want to bring more trash out than we bring in, and it's honestly, when I started doing this a few years ago, it's pretty alarming at how easy it is to fill that bag of trash. I mean, usually I do it when I'm picking up my kayak, loading up my truck at wherever I'm picking up. I mean, you look around, there's really trash everywhere. It takes no time to fill a bag, and for the bag that you bring in, you will be given a special raffle ticket, and at the award ceremony, we'll draw, I think 2 or 3 random draws out of those raffle tickets, and you'll win some nice prizes. So it's just a good way for the club to kind of give back to the environment and take care of the fisheries that we all enjoy.
Absolutely. It's a really great idea. It's a really great thing to do, and everything. So I think that covers it up. Look, if you'd like to become a sponsor of Bayou Coast, feel free to reach out to me or Tyler, and we can put you in touch with our sponsor coordinator, LaRose. Again, if you missed part of tonight's episode, you can check it on YouTube or Facebook. It's also available as a podcast. Now, in full disclosure, I'm going to tell you at least one picture in tonight's episode was modified to maintain pre-Paddlepalooza scouting areas. I will let you figure out which picture was modified. I don't ever want to be called a liar, but so we're giving you full disclosure now. I want to thanks again to Danica Williams and Aaron LaRose for coming on tonight. We sure do hope to see you guys down at Paddlepalooza. Hopefully we'll have Danica on again soon, and I'm sure Aaron will be back soon.
And guys, one more thing. So this Sunday, which is, April 28th, I believe, please try to register before April 28th for Paddlepalooza. Come April 29th, starting Monday, you will be charged an extra $10 late fee. We encourage everybody to get signed up. These large events take a whole lot of organization to get everything together, and the sooner we know how many people are coming, the easier it is for us to make the appropriate plans. So get signed up this week. Save yourself the extra $10. And we look forward to seeing you down there.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, guys. Tight lines. Good night, and we will see you next